And we are back, lovely people, and it took me a little bit longer because I had other stuff I had to do apparently. So this is a clock challenge day. It's Friday. I literally had a week to do this, and see, I put it off. I am gonna open up Twitch here, so mind you, it's gonna be noisy for a second.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, someone else's Twitch. You're gonna... Oh, it's muted. Yay, it's muted. So earlier in our last video, what we did is we stretched this paper, and you see it, that the thing did leave a little bit of marks on the edge, but paper successfully stretched. And I'm going to remove it from the board. You could wet this and paint directly on it and leave it stuck to it while you're painting, as long as you've soaked this board first. But if the board's not damp and wet, what is going to happen is it's going to draw the moisture from the paper. So you want to make sure the board's wet and fully soaked, and then soak your paper for it. So we've done that, and you could paint directly on it, like I said, but I would rather not. So I'm going to put these tips away. And grab my paints. And grab my brushes. I forgot water, so I'll just have to use what I used earlier. And some drawing pencils. I should have been prepared, I know. Let's see if we can find a softer pencil. The one earlier is really scratchy. That one will probably work. Take a little swatch here. No. It's got a waxy texture to it, so I don't think it'll work. Let's see. Nope. We should try out this Tombow I bought that I haven't tried yet. I've just been collecting pencils for years, so I actually just threw away like a whole 2 handfuls of pencils because the leads were just too hard. I think that's it. Yep. So, there's that, and there's that. And a mixing palette. Let's open this and use it as a mixing palette. And let's get our board put away. And as you can see here on the left hand side of the screen, we have a picture of clock stockings and a clock. And today is the last day for the challenge of this group of making clock stockings. Thank you, Lily. That one's empty. So rinse. Close this real quick. Excuse me reaching. I think. Yeah, that's the alcohol one. Have to smell it every time. Uh-oh. There we go. Here's my water. And I believe this is honey water. We will not be using honey water today. I think that's it. I think that's all we need, right? Besides just some water. So, rinse water and clean water. We're going to set this palette aside. This is our nifty new silky, beautiful, sparkly Van Gogh palette. We will probably be trying these out today. My paper is still not here yet. That's really why I was waiting, because I was really patiently waiting for my paper. Last time I did the challenges, I just had this one little tiny brush, and I was using one tiny brush with all this paint, and I'm really thankful now we have a better setup. Alright. Alrighty. And now for wetting it. We're going to grab some clean water here. Oh, before we do that, we need to wet our palette. So I know a lot of people missed it, but I don't like getting water all over my desk. So instead, I use a little dropper bottle. And just wet each of my things with 2 drops of water. I don't got 3. Oh well. So now that's all wetted, we need to wet the paper. I'm just going to grab this 3/4 inch mop brush. By the way, thank you so much. Shout out to the person who recommended this brush. It's not going to fit. Of course it's not going to fit. Lucky me, I forgot to go get water earlier, so we're just gonna stuff that in there. I don't want to ruin the brush, so, and I literally have no source of water on my desk, so I'm just gonna very carefully tip out some water. We stretched this earlier, so I'm just doing this so the paper doesn't curl up when I'm working on the other side. That makes sense. The problem when you live with cats, there's like dust everywhere all the time. Literally cannot get away from it. There we go, that's perfectly wetted. I'm going to grab a paper towel, dry the surface. I'm going to see if I can get this camera over my area a little bit better. Turn that way. Now, as I pull this side down, I want to make sure the paper's laying flat. Alright, it's kind of cockeyed. Go. And fleck that off of there. So, clock stockings, I guess, look something like forgive me, I'm a really terrible artist, so that's the whole point of this is, I guess. I'm a digital artist, which means I can, like, take things and make them, yeah, and I can draw on screen really well, but by hand it's just not the same thing. So that's the challenge here. So, it'll look like that. I'm going to bring this down. And we're going to grab it here. I guess this is going to come down. It's going to go in, I think. Something like that, right? And draw it again. I'm really terrible. I think I think this needs to go like this, and then this needs to be smaller. Yeah, I'm terrible at this. So, I can say I should have cheated because that would have been helpful. My husband's texting me about video games. We do play, but that's another Twitch channel and a different name, and I don't want to mix the two. So if you know who I am, you know who I am. Yeah. I know people are like, you're not supposed to rub it because it's going to take off the surface. But then how do you get the stuff back off? I don't know. Do I need a softer pen? Is that what's going on? Maybe. Because you see it's not lifting anything. Well, I know what they're supposed to look like, and I probably should have cheated and printed off the thing and then traced it on there. So that way I had like the perfectest thing. But I don't know. We'll just work with it. It is what it is. I think what I'm doing is I'm making the foot part too big, and that's driving me nuts. And I'm trying to do it as in one thing. I think they're like that. I can sew them just fine. What is my problem? Why am I being such a dunderhead about this? That goes in, over. It's a pair of freaking socks. Up. This way. Because we want them longer. Yeah, they are what they are. So clock stockings have this right here and a pretty pattern. And I was going to be even fancier and do one with like shoes. So I think next week I'll work on getting the thing right that I want to do and then painting it at the end of the week because that sounds better. So we want a clock, right? So we're going to want a circle here. There we go. We want it to be kind of pretty. So it has this like sort of thing on top. It has this scroll right here. I really should know what these look like because I grew up with them in the house my grandparents had. And apparently I still can't draw them. It's looking more like a lemure than it is a pair of clock stockings. Get it? Clocked stockings. I really think this is just too sharp. Yeah, it's just too hard of a lead and it's not working the way I want. And the time is 2. So let's right about there. 22, which is right about there. think that's pretty cool. Then we're just going to do some random flourishes. Okay, I guess, you know. Some stitching here. Although the ones I made never had a little stitch there, but whatever. I think that's because the reference photo is knitted, it looks like. So yeah, they're way off. So we are going to, in fact, I'm not even going to do this big palette. I am going to put this away. It's just taking up valuable space. And we are going to start with ooh, these get stiff. I'm gonna use this for mixing. Don't forgive me for this. But I think what I want is this color. Mixed with a bit of see what I'm saying? The brushes on these, they just, yeah, it's awful. It's in everything. Right, so this needs a bit of something. Let's try a tiny bit of brown. See what we get. That's nice. And I'm sorry about the film quality. It is the camera. I have a cheap $10 camera. So what I'm going to do, instead of asking for the medium supplies I need, I'm going to put up the camera supplies I need. And hopefully someday I'll be able to afford better camera equipment. Guess. Just not happy with that color. Let's see if we can grab some white. Let's see what happens when we grab white. Oh yeah, that's the beige I was looking for. I just need some more white. And now what I need to do, put a couple drops of water. I may have to go get clean water a little bit. That's enough water. That's why I just need a tube of white, because I use so much white. That's almost the beige I was looking for. We're going to take that, and we're going to take our mop brush. Just generally mop this page, because I'm just trying to create a color on the page to start with. And I know people are like, that'll muddy things up, but it's okay. I promise, it's okay. Oof, yeah. Still too dark. I'm trying to going for a coffee stain. I think I'm going to grab tissue, just lightly unstain it, just so I don't have pure white paper. That's what I'm going against, is not having pure white paper. Now that I've done that, I'm going to paint over the stockings to whiten them back up. You can see I'm not doing too good of a job, but I guess it's supposed to have fun, right? Alright. And I'm doing this because I have no masking fluid, so I don't have the option of like just masking out my thing and then picking it up, and yeah, I haven't gotten that far on being able to buy stuff. So while that's wet and drying, I am going to take this brush, get rid of all those loose hairs from the Royal 9 nickel brushes, which are a pain in my backside. Alright. Also clean up this brown, because we obviously don't need any more brown. And now we can turn this. So what I'm seeing is that our socks are red and the clock is brown and the curtains are blue. I'll add more time. I am going to quickly activate these colors I used last time for the butterflies. Realize you can't see them because I can't get the camera right. I need a boomstick, and I need a better camera. I complained about in a different group, and not the one I'm talking about, but a different group I'm in. I complained about how much hair is being lost by the Royal Ring blah 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 brushes, and I literally got told by a bunch of different males in there, this is something you have to put up with because all brushes do it. And I literally have not seen one bristle fall out of these nice Simply brushes, Simply Simon's brushes. So try to get more white. Yeah, I have hair in all of my palettes for that brush. It's not a waste because I'll use them somewhere else, I swear. You know what I'm going to have to do now that I've painted them, well, now that I'm painting these stockings, is actually make embroidered clock stockings with actual grandfather clocks on them. It'd be hilarious. So there's that. And it looks like, oof. Yeah, once they dry, one thing I don't like is once they dry, look at what it looks like. It's just very, This teaches me I have to clean out my palettes between. I can't leave it dried in there like other people do, because it's just not dissolving. Maybe my water's too clean. Anyway, that is the wrong color brown anyway. I didn't want muddy brown. See if I'm gonna have to all be done with this brush. So my problem is I paint too heavy, because the only painting I did is with tempera paints and acrylic paints back in high school when I just did my finals, and that's the only thing I did is finals because my parents were so against art. Well, not my mom. My mom's a beautiful artist. My grandmother on my mom's side, beautiful artist. My dad and my stepmom, however, absolutely not. So when I majored in art history in high school, and I was homeschooled, and I pretty much was self-taught, yeah, it was a no-no. So, oops. Well, that happened. Yes, it's not dry, folks. So you can't pay to tell it's dry. Just letting everyone know. There we go. Still not dry. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait for this to dry. So fan. So what are you up to? So anyway, yeah, I wasn't really allowed to do art or much of anything. So I didn't get a lot of experience actually painting. I did a couple art pieces for art history finals so I could show I understood the concepts, but like they were terrible. They were so terrible. So I decided now that the kids are grown up and moved out, it's me time, right? It's totally me time. This is really just awful. So yeah, for the next tutorial, I totally am going to cheat a little bit and print something off and superimpose it on the stuff, because yeah. And practice in between. I guess I am going to over-treat this white and just keep painting white until the white doesn't dry because I'm painting it. So my ultimate plan is that my husband learned to draw better, and he's been drawing for like a year, and he's pretty decent at it, I mean, comparatively to how he started for a non-artsy person. And it's to get him to draw cards and postcards so that I can go over them and paint them. That's my dream. But he's gonna have to get better, and he's gonna of course have to agree to it, which he hasn't yet. So do y'all paint? Anybody? Just me in my open empty room? What brings you to my channel besides watching me be a nutter and spreading around stuff on a piece of paper like a nutter? No, seriously, in all seriousness, how'd you find me? So my last Twitch channel I shut down because well, it was a gamer channel for one, so I didn't do any painting. But I shut it down because there was this guy that kept harassing me, and he was saying lewd things in chat on Twitch. And I reported him, but it didn't stop him from finding me other places. So I basically had to shut down everything. And I had worked so hard to get... I was like one thing away from getting the Twitch sponsor thingies. Like, I think I just needed like one more day on my 30 days or something. Or one more subscriber or something. It was really close, and I was so upset. But like, that dude, I had to shut down everything. I had to hide myself on Discord. I had to hide myself on social media. Like, he was sexually harassing me, like, really bad. So I just shut everything down and I stopped streaming for like 3 years. And you know, it kind of takes the wind out of your sails when you work really hard on something. And I was streaming multiple times a day, and I was, you know, had open servers, and then suddenly have to shut it all down because one guy can't keep it in his pants. Yeah. And I lost a lot of friends over it because no one really believed me it was happening. Like, because he kept deleting his messages. And so they were like, oh, you're just crying. You're just crying, Wolf. It's not real. And I'm like, are you serious? Well, he seems like a nice person when I've talked to him. I'm like, what? Yeah, no. And so he was deleting his messages, so I couldn't report his messages because I had nothing to report. And it was just all around. I was like, dude, I'm married, I've had kids, and I'm not interested in you. But, of course, you know, he even jumped into this gaming servers I was on and was, like, using his character to do lewd stuff towards me. And I was like, this is beyond redemption. So anyway, I shut down my Twitch. And it's been like 3, maybe 4 years. It was pre-COVID. That happened like long before COVID. And I just like was like wanting to have some company while I painted. So if you're painting, like, you know, I'd love to talk to you. Of course, not about my drama, but about your drama maybe. I'm just trying to fill in here, you know, because I'm talking to an empty room, apparently. The only hard thing about watercolors is the patience of having to wait for it to dry. I suppose I could turn on a fan and that would work probably. And while that fan is running... Oof, I should not have left that in there. I have like an hour before my husband gets home from work and I have to do other stuff. So, end of my day scenarios. We're going to turn on a fan for a minute, hopefully dry that off. Wait for paint to dry. Wait for paint to dry. And I actually plan on hopefully streaming every day, by the way, because I want to do some tutorials and I want to stream while I do the tutorials. But I'll probably be doing it before work, so it's like 1 o'clock in the morning because I go to work at like 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. So, and that's by choice because I work from home. So I want to get my 8.5 hours of work done by noon so I can go out and side and enjoy some gardening and clean house and then come back and hopefully sew. So, yeah. So that'll also be on the stream because I'll be doing embroidery work and sewing as well. Come on. Let's rescue the poor fly. Dead fly. It looks like it's doing that. So while this is doing that, I'm going to go get some water. I'll be right back. rinsing the bottles out, the difference, yes, that. Sorry, I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning, folks. My brain's not fully engaged anymore. So, I am rinsing out my rinse water bottles. I went and got a big cup of water. I use filtered water, bottled at the source, which is the grocery store. Camera, you can't see my water setup. So I have this Dasani, or not Dasani, but Chobani, I think it's Chobani, yogurt, glass yogurt container, which I put a makeup face scrubber in, so it has a little thing to wash the brush in. Then I have the dirty one, which was where I rinsed them. Go ahead, drink my water. There you go. Then I have a second rinse bottle if I just want to, like, rinse something quickly. And then I have clean water to dip my brush in to grab water for the palette. I know that's excessive, but I really hate mixing colors. So when I say, see, I hate mixing colors, like, do you see that green in there? I hate that the green's in the yellow now. And that happened from dirty water. And that really frustrates me. You know, first world people problems.
Okay, let's do this thing.
Come on, we're not. I am so sorry about that. Please don't report me. Don't report me. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? We're not there, folks. We can still see it's wet. This is dry, at least. See what happens if I were to put paint next to that, it would just bleed into each other because they're both wet and some osmosis would happen. We really got to make sure that paint's dry and it's pulling a little because I put too much because I'm a dunderhead. 44 minutes and I'm still just, you know, goofing up. I don't think I want that poo on the heel. Something right there. And for good measure, we're just going to grab that. And it feels like it's dry. Sorry for the fan noise, but grab some white. Maybe not. I'll just let the white be the white. This is a not detailed enough brush for this. Who knew? I'm going to grab this and just pull it into where we want it to go. Well, that's problematic. We're going to start over, folks. We pulled too much paint at the beginning. That hair saving off then. I'll cut that off real quick. There's like this one tiny hair, just one. There. We actually have a tiny bit more time today because my husband's going to Walmart for me. We only have one car, so it's just easier for him to stop by after work. I'm so glad I got these brushes. Thank you so much, watercolor person. You know who you are. Good recommendation. Go ahead and paint this whole area, and then I'm going to inset that area with the second wash so it's darker, I think. I tell you, using this tiny brush is making me use a lot less paint. I'm encountering some difficulties, folks. There is water or paint still on here that's not dry that I didn't pick up earlier somehow. Folks, I'm not even sure about this. Look at that fine line I'm getting. The fan is helping. Okay, so the real reason I'm having trouble is because I live near Dallas and it's extremely humid here and stuff just does not want to dry. Like, I can't even really wash my hair in summer because it will not dry for days. It's so humid here until like July, August area. And then it's like dry all fall until it starts snowing sometime late October or December. So I just learned you can't load up the whole brush when painting fine details like this because it will literally grab all the paint and plop it down in a big puddle. And we still have some wet paint in there, even though you saw me pull up the paint with the paper towel. Well, yeah, that happened. So what I'm told, and what I'll probably try for next week, or whenever I get one, is if you use a stylus to draw with, so you draw on a different piece of paper, and then you trace over that piece of paper onto this piece of paper so that you're just making an indent on your watercolor paper, you can get more precise lines that way because you're making an indent and then the water won't flow where the indent is. It'll just stop, if that's making sense. So we're going to try this next week. I'm also going to try to figure out how to do a tutorial that you can't hear but that I could hear, so that way I can follow along and just tell you what they're saying while I do it. Alright, it's not. It's a try at least. You definitely need better equipment. This. Really hard to do that because the paper's textured. I'm trying to make a circle, folks. Good enough, right? So, I'm not done. I'm sure I'm not done. I am going to do that with the brown now. Brown's dry yet. Brown's not dry yet. So, let's grab some really bright red. The second hand. I'm just going to take an excess off over here. Now since I did that with a dirty brush, what's happening is I am pulling black out of the brush to make that, instead of getting this super bright red paint that I was starting with. I'd never make it as a radium girl. I won't lick my brushes and can't paint quickly. I feel so wasteful. Like, okay, I got that paint and now I can't use it because I'm done. I just really needed that one dot. But I guess there's plenty of paint, right? So the clock thingamajig down there needs to be yellow before we put our gold over it, I think. We're just going to paint it yellow so it's brighter before we put our gold thingy over it. I'm just amazed at how much paint's coming out of this. Yeah, there's brown. There's my brun. Sorry folks, that brown over there is just too muted. I need some definition here. My only problem with this brush is the bristles are kind of, they're not bent, but they're set at an angle. I keep forgetting that angle. I'm going to turn the fan off because the paint's drying too fast now. Or whatever it wants to do. I swear this looked better in my head. Once again, I'll probably post this on the group and I'll get a dozen answers for me to go do tutorials and, like, you know, following somebody else's tutorials so I learn how to paint. I'll get there. Grab some more brown before it dries out too terribly. So before I started doing this, part of the reason I was late is I was shopping on Amazon for a boomstick to hold the camera, because I have a light up here. I have a selfie light and it's on one of those, the arm for it is one of those bendable metal rod things, you know, and as I'm sitting here the camera's slowly, like, falling down because the light's not meant to put anything heavy on it. So yeah, that's happening. And just need to get one of those arms where you can tighten the bolts on the side and also set it at a correct angle. And of course a camera, but... So I'll probably put those in my coffee thing. Nothing here sponsored. I haven't done sponsorships yet, so if you want to sponsor me, go ahead. I know I'm the shit out of what I do, but I don't care. But if you're willing to send me supplies or money or whatnot, or sponsor some giveaways, I'm all ears. I don't even have any affiliate links, so... Because I'm doing it all for work, and I get just tired of doing that all day, and I just haven't set up mine because I'm too busy doing it for others. I should have done this one first. So I am planning on improving my drawing skills, I promise. I really want to read too, and then just like after you work for 8 hours and then you have a house and a property to manage, and then you know, do the cooking and the cleaning and the cats and the husband and the sewing and all that stuff. There's so little time, and you have to decide what you want, and often you don't want to do stuff that's mentally taxing, like learning to draw. And I know I need to. I know I need to redo the classes, because I used to be good at it. Like, I did that drawing on the right side of the brain book in high school voluntarily, and I got pretty good at drawing, and I don't know what happened. Like 20 years later, and my brain's like, I don't remember how to do this. I swear. I swear I'm not meaning to do a heavy hand here. Anyway, how's your day going? Nobody. I'm also in a hurry because the deadline for this, for turning this in for the weekly challenge, is like right now. So I know I'm not doing nearly as well as other people who have been painting for years, but I don't care. That's pretty good. What do we do about the stockings? I think they did a dark background, and I think that's what helped. So what if we did the stockings now that we painted white, if we went over them with blue and like shaded them in with blue? Should have done this before painting the clock, but okay, I like that these have a small amount of snapback on them, so that, see, that's like pointed where I pushed into a point, but it's also like not very nice. Oh, I'm so happy I was talking to buying these brushes. I would have been struggling so much. I do plan on buying better paper. I promise. I have black paper, of course, coming in the mail today, so we can play with iridescent paints probably tomorrow. We're gonna play with paints today, but I'm just saying. I thought I had a brush in between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am missing a brush, folks. How am I missing a brush? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my other brush. Okay, makes much more sense. Actually, I thought there were 7 brushes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, yeah, 7. Okay. My tummy hurts. So you know my tummy hurts. I have severe food allergies. Okay, I have a messed up immune system, for one thing. So it randomly just decides what it's allergic to, and then like a month from now it may not be allergic to that. But right now it's deciding it's allergic to vegetables. All vegetables. If I eat vegetables, I get horrible stomach cramps. It is so not fair, because I love my vegetables. Like, I was a kid who'd go sneak into the garden just so I could eat raw vegetables when I was like 5. I had a real thing for them. And now I'm like 40 something, and I'm like, really? I can't have vegetables? This stinks. When people are meat and potato people, I'm the steak and salad girl. Or woman, or whatever you want to call me. I can see what I'm doing wrong here is that I'm painting something extremely detailed with a watercolor, which is not supposed to be extremely detailed, but I see people do detailed paintings, so I just need to get with it, I guess. Terrible, folks. So yeah, right now I'm allergic to vegetables, apparently. For no apparent reason. So my stomach's really hurting because I had some cabbage earlier. Like, for breakfast. So what I'm noticing in the group is people are doing a lot of those melted clock paintings. Like, that's like a big hit right now. And I was like, so people are painting clocks, or they're painting pocket watches, or they're painting melted clocks. I just want to be different. I want to paint a pair of socks. Socks, people. Oh, glue's almost like dried up again. my problem is I should be using a mop brush. Let's try a mop brush with obviously more paint than this. We're going to grab some rinse water. I'm going to grab this blue. This. Maybe I need to mop this better. And more pulling water because I'm a dunderhead again. Yeah, it's too thick. Mistake. Wow. My back's starting to hurt. How do people do this all day? Here, get in here with this one. Shoot, I need to rinse it. And grab some paint. So we got brown in there now. Learn my lesson. Next time you paint the blue before the brown. So when you go to do those little brown details on top of blue, rather than trying to put blue around the brown details, because, you know, doing things in the right order makes a world of difference, apparently. And yeah, I know, I'm just like such a noob, but a better noob than I was before, apparently, at least in my eyes anyway. I feel like I'm progressing. I'm learning things even if I don't retain them. Ready. So I'm thinking now is that even though this needs to dry, I need to add some darker blue to it. And I'm just going to grab this really granule blue that was from before that I re-wet. I just need to add some maybe shading here. And destroy my pretty blue socks. asking me to shade it a little. And I know I'm doing this wet. I'm purposely doing this wet on wet over the previous color so that way it pulls the darker blue into the color to create a shading effect. I hope that's the way this works. I'm not so sure anymore. Yes, I know. So clock stockings, this piece would be a separate piece of fabric that was sewn in there and then wrapped around, so that when you make the tube of the sock, it adds the extra material you need in to make a heel, if that makes sense. So like you take the tube and you make the heel part, and that's the new heel part. I haven't actually made clock stockings. I've made other stockings, but I can't imagine that it would be that hard. Based on like the 24 tutorials I've watched. They look awful. There's so much paint behind outside the lines, and yeah. But I have pretty blue water now. Yeah. So I'm really lazy and I don't get all the way up and go to the other room to wash my brushes. I literally dump the water out into my trash can, which has a bag in it, and then refill the cup and rinse again. Because I am supremely lazy in that way. Well, so I'm not lazy. I broke my knee like a year and a half ago, and I never had medical care because we can't afford it. So I literally went without medical care with a broken knee, and I've been walking on it for a year. So it's just, the kneecap is loose and it just shifts all over the place. And so, like, I can stand there and it'll shift out of place, and suddenly my knee's locked up and I can't walk. It's swollen all the time. It hurts all the time. And I just wish we made enough money. I could go spend the thousands it costs to see an orthopedic surgeon and have it fixed. Because it's really getting in the way of exercising and fitness and yard work and enjoying life. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm just using some lens cleaner to get the paint up off my board. So, now that we've like really made a pair of horrible, awful socks, I want to put some glitter on it. But I can't because it's still drying. So we're going to turn the fan back on it and watch paint dry, folks. Almost there, folks. So I think before I close my palette out and of course wipe it out, I'm going to grab some purple. Okay, that's purple. It's not, oh well. Just do a wash at the bottom so these aren't hanging in the air. Just like, you know, a line of color. And not some floating weird pair of socks. That's not enough purple. Where did I get the purple from? So that's my only problem with this palette is I can't tell which color is what. So like, I'm just in the dark. I think. No, that's blue, but it's purple enough. That's probably my other problem is I was using a wash brush and not a mount brush and not a wash brush, and so I was getting a lot of really edgy colors and not a lot of straight lines. And apparently I can't outcolor the fan. I'm gonna grab a little more water. That's something. It's pretty terrible. But it's something. I did something. I did a thing. I did the thing! And now to clean this out, I'm just going to grab a tissue and like just wipe them out. And that would be my husband. Like, so my husband works in an office literally like 4 blocks, 5 blocks from me, from where we live, and like we can't even stop talking when he's at work. That's how our entire relationship has been since we met. Like, we always find something to talk about. That's a good thing. The bad thing is that we're constantly texting at work. Like, we can't stop texting at work, and I love him for it because I've been in relationships where there's like no communication, or I was not even allowed to speak, you know, because how dare I? So it's really nice being in a very mellow, non-abusive relationship for once. And we've been together like 12 years, so we're still best friends. But yeah, we met on a dating site. And I didn't want to date. I was done with dating at that point because I had been on so many dates with really crabby guys, or dated guys and found out later they were cheating, and I was just like, you know what, I'm done with that scene. And then he was like the last person to message me, and I kept pawning him off onto people I knew, thinking, well, it would be a better fit because I'm not in a good place right now. And he just waited for me. And he went on a couple dates with someone else, a couple other girls, and they were really angry. They're like, that's my boyfriend. He's like, seriously, we went on one date, not my girlfriend. You know? And like, we didn't even start dating right away. So I moved in with him, but we didn't date or anything. I needed a place to stay one time, and like I was planning on moving out of state to go live with a friend, and that friend ghosted me. And so I was like, where I'm at, the guy keeps trying to sleep with me, and he's my employer, and I'm not going to sleep with my employer. And it was really gross. And I did in-home care, so I took care of older people. And the guy I was taking care of, his son, who was the person who was supposed to be paying me, who neglected to pay me for my job, kept wanting to pay me in favors instead. And when that didn't work out for him, it all blew up in my face, and I was like, I'm done. If you can't pay me $350 a month plus room and board to bathe and feed an 80-year-old and literally spend all day entertaining the 80-year-old, then you could do it yourself. He was really angry because he was like, well, I can't take off work. Well, that's not my problem. You have a good job. You could have paid me. But anyway, so that's neither here nor there. So I just wanted a place to stay for the weekend while I waited for the Greyhound bus and to move out of state. And 3 days later, when I was supposed to catch the bus on a Monday, he was like, we're getting along really well, and your friend ghosted you, so why don't you just stay the rest of the summer? And so I did. So I was sleeping on his couch, and then, I don't know, 6 months later, we were like, this is still working out. We're still getting along. There was no problems. And I think that's what happens if you remove the element of them expecting sex. You can develop an actual relationship with a human being, because they're not looking at you like they're going to get something, and you develop a relationship. And I want to point that out to people. He's the only guy out of something like 3,000 I screened off of dating sites that didn't send me pornographic material of their members. And that's going to say a lot. So guys, if you want a stable relationship with a woman, you want a stable relationship, that's what you look for. Get these clean. That's what you look for. Someone who's just not in it all for themselves. They're in it for other reasons. And so we've been together 12 years. We've been married 6. So what we did is he wound up hiring me to nanny his children. So that way, because his ex-wife was struggling to make ends meet, and he was like, well, I can't pay her child support, and I can't pay for daycare. So we just traded services in that regard. I had a place to stay. He had someone watching his kids after school. And so it worked out. Well, it didn't work out with me and the kids. We just never got along. I don't know why. I tried so hard, and no matter what he did, it was just never ever good enough. And I was like, you don't need you. And I'm like, well, that's obvious, because, nobody else is doing dishes. But yeah, the kid still hates me. Both kids still hate me. I think, too, I represented him never getting back with his ex-wife, which was she married and moved on 6 years before he met me. So I'm like, they were never getting back together. But somehow I was the finality of it. At that point, the kids finally understood that what they wanted to happen wasn't going to happen. And they just were angry at me for it. Which, dude, I'm here after school every day. I'm making you snacks and offering to help with homework, and I'm not trying to replace parents, but whatever. But yeah, they're both moved out now and off and living their own silly little lives. That's what I will say, is that being a step-parent often is unrequited love. You can pour your heart and soul into caring for someone, and they just won't love you back. And you have to be okay with that. You have to make it not about you or not about them, but getting, about them, but not about their problem with the relationship. I'm just washing these mop brushes out real quick. That's what I'm doing over here. The placemat's taped down, so I can't move it in front of you and let you watch me wash a brush. If you want to, here we go. I'm just gonna. I've already dumped the water once. Now we're gonna get all these blues out. Not clean enough. Oh, I'm gonna do one more rinse. But we're gonna use this rinse water to do the special sparkly paints. So you know this needs sparkly paint now. It's the only thing that's gonna redeem it. I really do need to do tutorials, like follow along with tutorials so I can learn how to paint, because this is stabbing in the dark's really hard. Like, am I getting this right? Am I doing this technique right? And I watch videos, but you don't retain as much as if when you do it as you do the video. So I'm going to try to get up before work and see, to get 8 hours in by 11. I need to start work by 3, so I'll probably get up at 1 or 2, which is, I wake up at 1 or 2 anyway to go to the bathroom, so, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's already 5 hours of sleep, so it's not like I'm sleep deprived, really. Oh, I didn't rinse this earlier. Look how dirty that is. That's so dirty. So what I really want, I mean, in addition to actually needing a camera so you guys could, you know, not see this, you can see better, and a boomstick to be able to move the camera the right way, what I really need is a set of ocean paints. There's 2 sets I want in particular. There's a CKY or CMY or whatever paint set that's made with honey. That's called Ocean or whatever, and it's really beautiful shimmers that are all oceany colors. And then there's either Smecky or there's another brand, Holbein, that has one that's oceany colors, and that's really what I want to start painting. However, before I can do that, I'm going to tell myself that's a treat, because what I really need to do is I need to do one color paintings so that I learn to shade better, because as you can see, this is awful. Alrighty. Now, we only need a couple of these colors, so I'm not going to wet all of them. We need gold for the thingamajigger thing that goes back and forth. I think that's all we need. Let's do a shimmer on the back of the clock. So let's do whatever shimmer that color is. Move it over a little bit. We're going to do gold, and I think this is green shimmer. Start with gold. And we don't even need that much of it, so I'm going to get it really strong. And boop. Boop. There. That's it. That's all that needed. Rinse the brush out. Hopefully it's clean. Yeah, it's clean. Then we're gonna grab, I think this is a green one. I think. I don't know, it's really pretty. And you know mica has different colors, right? So like, there are different qualities of mica. And I hope these are made from mica. And they mine them by hand. And I think it's sad that they mine them by hand, but there's really no other way. But at the same time, those poor people need an income. So like, it's some people's only way. They're so poor that the only way they have of making money is to hand mine the mica out of the ground where they live. And I know that's sad and they don't get paid enough. But not buying the stuff that's made with mica, like makeup and whatever, means that they are going to make less money. So the more demand there is for mica, the more money they're going to make. Does that make sense? So, like, I'm torn because at the one time it's really sad that these poor people are living there and that's their only source of income. But then again, that is their only source of income, and they live there and they have to make an income to feed their family. So they have kids and adults out there, and there's this whole video on it. Kids and adults and everyone, that's the family thing, is they go out there on their hands and knees and pick up mica off the ground and then go sell it. And that's how they make their living. That's how they eat. And, you know, if we weren't buying the makeup and stuff and the paints with the mica, then, like, why am I getting tagged and stuff? Then they wouldn't have the money. So what color should I do? I think I should use some copper. And lay the brown with a little bit of copper. At least it looks like I tried, you know. So I'm doing dry. You'll see how thick dry gets. But I'm doing it for a specific reason, because if it gets too wet, then I'll have paint everywhere. A tiny bit more copper. And just put a tinge of copper up here. And I was hoping my paper would come in the mail, so that way we could test out the paints before my husband got home, but it's now even delayed. So I've been choosing on Amazon when I order stuff for it to come at a later time so that I get the credit. And then, like, they can't even deliver it on that date. Like, I've had stuff 2 or 3 days later after that. And it's crap because, like, so I feel like if I'm choosing it to take a week to get to me so I get a $1.50 credit, that I should get it on the day they say they're going to deliver it. Not on, like, you know, 3 days later or whatever. It's supposed to be delivered today, and I'm betting that it's going to be delayed. Because they've already delayed it twice today, and that's just crappy. So what else are we going to do? Yeah, see, I should have done the shimmer first before I did the clock face. So we're going to do silver, I think, on the bottom, or whatever. We should do graphite. We're going to do graphite on the bottom. Look, I said I was going to do one tiny thing, and here I'm like repainting the entire thing with sparkles. So yeah, learning lesson. Look what I did to the clock faces by putting paint on them I should have painted with the sparkles first and then did the clock face hands. Oh, more lessons learned. It's really pretty. Well, I cleaned it up a little bit. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to be doing this, but okay. I think this is the blue. I don't know what happened to that graphite and why it's so black. It is black. Well, that seems improved. Probably won't be but in a minute, but cat sneeze. I don't even think I need a tinier brush. Yeah, good. I do want to get a filbert though. It's just at $10 for shipping. I'm just... It can't cost $10 to ship a tiny brush. How it just suddenly got so creamy. But we're running with it. Must be one of the binders that's in the sparkle paint. I notice if I use that paint to paint over something else, it gets creamy and smooth. I'm trying to figure out, is that acacia gum or gum arabic, which is I think the same thing, or if that's a different kind of binder. You know, what binder are they using to get that smooth effect? I know it's not glycerin. Alrighty. So, this just needs a quick dry. Excuse me. Excuse me, so sorry. I'm really sorry. Water just caught me off guard. So I don't want to use anything sticky to make these stand up, so pardon me while I try to find my rubber bands. I'm probably gonna have to trim that. Can you see that? It's really weird. Turn it this way maybe. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to trim those because they drive me nuts. So what I did so far, long in that set, that one isn't long in that set, is the smaller ones on the outside. And he's about to text me again. Yay! That's the other problem, is there's a pencil in here. So now I can hang these somehow this way. At least if they're at an angle. So I wanted to, of course I wanted to play with that paint that never showed up, but I wanted to also play with the makeup that still hasn't shown up. So, if you are a painting person, please tell me, if I was to turn eye makeup into paint, which I've seen several tutorials, do I just put glycerin, or do I actually need a binder? People have been unclear. Like, people are doing it both ways, and I'm so confused. So if I need a binder, then I need to wait till I can buy some acacia gum or some other medium, whatever it's called for. And I guess it's okay. You know, for like the 10th time I've ever painted in my life, it's okay. I'm gonna text my husband real quick, and then we're gonna see about finishing this. I'm not happy with the hardness of this. I think 4 is too hard for watercolor paints. So I'm still in the hunt for the right hardness of pencil. And I just know 4 is too hard. And I've tried 3 4s so far, and they're all too hard. So 55. Generals, that's kind of softer. 6B. 6B is pretty soft. 2B is going to be really hard. Mahogany. That does not belong in here. Jet black, extra smooth. It's really smooth. 2B, 6B, maybe 6B. I might try Sanguine next, because then look at how light that is, and it's not going to show much on the paper. 2B. What if I could find this in a 6B? Probably another tutorial for this. That one has no marking. This is another 6B, which is really soft. Extra smooth. Call art, but it doesn't, jet black, but it doesn't tell me a hardness on it. 2H. So what does it mean? 2B, 4B. I know the first number is a hardness, but what does B and H mean? It's a highlighter pencil. 55. That, like, okay, this is white. That makes sense. So you use that as blending, see? Midnight Black. So that's a colored pencil, obviously. Yeah, I used to have a whole set of Paradise ones too, and Venus ones too, and like they poofed on me. This just says 577 HB hard. Like, what does that even mean? And here's Sepia. That's just a promotional pencil. Fun Station HB. That's all it says. Like, okay, whatever. Drawing pencil, that's gonna be hard again. So I think my next online stint will be finding the right pencil. That's what I really need to do. Brushes, pencils, paints put away. Make sure. Yeah, it still has to lay flat for a while. I think that's it. Alright, folks, well, I'm going to try to get on tomorrow and go through my pencils and find the right pencil for this paper. So if you want to join me, I don't know what time that's going to be. I'm hopefully early in the morning, but it might be in the afternoon on a break. Or I might just get too distracted by my husband and playing video games. I don't know. So I will talk to you later, and I really hope you're enjoying talking with me, even though this is me right now. And I will see you later. I'm going to enter this. I probably won't win anything. I mean, that's my luck anyway. But at least I tried. See you later.